Hello everyone, welcome into our latest live video. It is Sunday, the 3rd of August, 2025. I'm CareyHolzman, and thanks for joining me today as we finish, well, I can't really say finish, but we can at least deploy the new streaming computer. That's going to involve picking up where we left off, which includes putting the video capture card in it, installing OBS, which is a free small download, and then I back up my OBS I'm using now, copy it over so I don't have to reconfigure OBS for all the little settings, and then all of my video assets like the intros, the outros, the overlays with the email address, or those overlays, that's all contained in the videos folder on the streaming computer, and I just copy all that stuff, pretty small amount of data really, just to the flash drive or over to the network, whatever works, put it back on here, and that's pretty much all there is. It's really easy to set up OBS, especially if you've gone through the hassle of fine-tuning it to the bit rate and resolution and camera sources. Once you've done all that hard work, it's just a matter of copying it or backing it up and restoring it to another copy of OBS installed somewhere else. So that's all there is to it. It should be a relatively easy live stream today. I'm not going to worry about cable management because we're still waiting on the USB cable for the screen. So that will remain disconnected until we receive a cable from Thermaltake. Once that cable arrives, we'll plug that into the USB header on the board and to the side of the screen. After that, we load the Thermaltake software, and that screen is just there aesthetically. It doesn't provide anything useful, but it's there to make it look cool. And then from that point forward, this should be our new streamer if all goes well. And the panels will go back on it and everything, and then we'll retire the red streamer we're using today. So that's what we've got in store today. And of course, your questions and your interaction is always encouraged. I hope you're all having a great Sunday. It's going to be a hot week for us here in Phoenix, coming up 117 degrees later this week is predicted. And boy, I'll tell you, when anything over about 100 degrees, it's just too hot. And, you know, especially like 105 and above. If you told me it was 130 degrees outside or 106 degrees, all I can tell you is it's just too hot to be outside. So I will be looking forward to staying indoors and praying the air conditioner does not break. August is a very popular month for air conditioners in Phoenix to break down. I've mentioned before, if I wanted to start an AC repair company, I only need to operate in August. If I ran 24 hours a day, even just being self-employed, if I could run 24 hours a day or 20 hours a day for just the month of August, I could be set for the rest of the year just doing honest repairs. I mean, it's crazy. Even some of the Freon, the refrigerant, is $90 a pound, and some of these machines are using, you know, 15 to 20 pounds of it. So if you're low on Freon and that's why the AC isn't working, or the refrigerant, just that alone can be $500–600 to top it off. So just being an honest worker, doing an honest job for people's equipment that has honestly failed during the month of August in Phoenix can net you a lot of money. But really, as much as you want to make, as much as you want to work, there's work. There's more work than you can possibly do in the month of August in the field of air conditioning in Phoenix. So hopefully we don't find ourselves on the other end of that, and it continues to work, because boy, oh boy, oh boy, it's August. I don't know what else to say, and it's getting hotter. So with that, I want to say hello to everybody joining us. I know it's hot all over. It's one of the hottest recorded years on the planet Earth since they've been recording temperature. So it's not just Phoenix, it's just everywhere. I know it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit in New York City. That's got to be a whole nother level of misery with all the humidity. But air conditioners do work better. They remove humidity from the air. And in Arizona, we don't have much humidity. As you can imagine, it's a very different kind of heat, and the air conditioners have to work very differently. But with that, let me say hello to everybody, especially our friend Buster out there watching us from England, who sends in his Amazon gift card. Thank you so much, Buster, as always, joining us from Edinburgh. And Buster says, I know he's in here. Greetings from Bonnie, Scotland. The temperature in Edinburgh today is 61 degrees Fahrenheit or 16.1 Celsius. There's a storm warning for Monday with high winds up to 80 miles an hour. Whew. Hold on to your roof. Good to see you, Buster. Thank you for your friendship and your continued support. Hello as well to Eddie Casanova, Mark Baggett, Luke Greenia, Dustin Fuller, as well as Mark Gaines there in Northern Ireland, and a new supporter, Jonathan Fellis. Welcome into Jonathan. Thank you for supporting us here. I see Patrick T says hello. Thomas Mac T saying hello. Poorly Boy and Doman 2000 join us. 3D Everything and Dazzle 555, as well as Andy W6AD say hello. Gregory Howard with a $10 super chat says hello, Carey, Mara, and everyone in the chat from southwestern Ohio, where it's mostly sunny, 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is at 51. Yeah, it's a very different level of humidity there, isn't it? Thank you, Gregory. Matt says hello, joining us here in the chat. We also see Ghetto Fortnite and Mark Baggett, who renews membership now for 38 months. Right on. Thank you, Mark. Ben Laird says hello from Scotland. David Graham joining us saying hello, as well as Rick Legs. Hey, there's Rick. Good to see you, my friend. Gilberto Colazzo joins us and says hello, as does Nicholas Barlow and Mortant. There he is. Good to see you. Joining us from, is it Pennsylvania? John Williams says hello, as does Rick Dusk and Frank Jimmy. Thomas Backenstow says, wow, there's a lot of people joining from Europe, Carey. Well, a lot of people in the U.S. are originally from Europe, so one way or another. Depends how far back you want to look. Good to see you there, Thomas. Shamim Kajvir is joining us from Sweden. Brad Ravel says hello. Sometimes we'll see John Lewis, who joins us from Brazil. I don't see him in there yet today. Taffer9876 says hello from Mesa, Arizona. Abdul Azim Patel renews membership, now a member for 32 months. Right on. Thank you, Abdul. Arnold Albert says hello. And John Downey says hello. Ohio Catfishing says, I love that mouse and keyboard. Yeah, I'm liking it too. The Gravistar keyboard and mouse have definitely have a unique look, and they're not, I mean, they're expensive, but they're not overly priced. You get what you pay for. And what else? Did I miss anybody? I hope I didn't miss anybody. I got to go through this quickly. Sometimes people don't really understand how much is happening on this side of the camera, and they think they're being intentionally ignored or blocked out. But that's just, it's very chaos, very much chaos here. But certainly if you're looking for any personal interaction with me, you can always reach out to our email address, and we respond to everybody who emails us. When we're live, we catch what we can during a live show. If we don't catch it, you just have to understand the sheer numbers that we're dealing with here, and we do our best. But yeah, that right there is our email address. If you want a personal conversation, that's how you're going to reach me. Just make sure you type that email address correctly, and you'll usually get a response within 24 hours. If you don't, we probably didn't get your email because you probably didn't spell it out correctly. So just so you know, we'd love to hear from you. And sometimes during a live show, trying to get my attention can be very difficult. Please don't take that as a personal snub against you. It's just too much happening at the same time. So it's all a matter of timing. All right, just so you guys know, we love to hear from you. All right, now with regards to, Paul Vercher joins us and says hello. There he is. With regards Easy PC Remote Solutions. Hello all, are you building a streamer? I think I should join from the computer. I don't know what he means by that, but welcome in. Welcome in. Yeah, so where we left off with our build here, these are all the power supply cables because we went with a modular small form factor power supply on this build. I have a blank flash drive here, and what I need to do with this is take my video assets off of the streaming computer now and copy them. You should always have a backup of your OBS and your video assets. Video assets would be things like, well, that email address I just put up, that's a video asset. When I tell you guys about SCD keys and I show the logo and the barcode, that's a video asset. When I run introduction videos or outro videos, those are all video assets that I create. Those are uniquely mine. And they're not entirely necessary, but they make things a lot easier for the viewers to know when the show's over or when it's beginning, or how I'm spelling the email address versus just speaking it. Being able to see things makes it a lot clearer. Instead of having to recreate all that, I just back it up. Now, there's not a whole lot to back up here. OBS is a relatively small file. The video files themselves are probably the largest assets that I am that have to do with OBS, but they're really not that big. And then when I reinstall OBS fresh and clean on here, I simply restore, after I've installed, restore the backup to it, and that puts all of my detailed OBS settings right back the way they were, from audio levels to input sources. There may be some drivers I have to install on the capture card. I don't do that very often, so I can't remember. But in that case, it's super easy. You do it once, get the drivers installed. This is a 4-port capture card, so it may require the same driver 4 times, maybe. I've dealt with so many capture cards now, I can't remember what the process for each manufacturer's drivers are, or if they're even required. But in this blue box right here is our Camlink Pro software. Camlink Pro 4-port 4K HDMI capture card. These are like hen's teeth trying to find these. So they're about $250 a piece. I was last able to find them at B&H Photo. And I bought a couple just because if one goes out on me, I don't want to have to go to a single port capture card. That would be inconvenient. So I buy a couple extras. Think of it as a backup. That's my insurance. They're not going to go bad sitting on a box on the shelf. What else do I have here? We've got the box the Orico drive came in. As I recall, we did put that in, didn't we? Pretty sure we did. And this is, I believe, the drive we took out. So that will be reset, this old drive. And when I say old, I mean it was just used for a few minutes. That'll go back on the shelf for a future build. This box will probably, I don't know if I'll keep it or not. There's probably nothing in there we're ever going to need. This box here, this has the rest of what came with the case that we're not using. That includes the documentation. This big piece here, if we wanted to take the screen out altogether, we could just put that back. So if I give up on Thermaltake with that screen, you know, I have options. We've got some Velcro ties and the original cable the screen shipped with that is not compatible with this case. And this cooler isn't really compatible with this case. That's all misleading, deceptive marketing from Thermaltake that is a new low and likely the last Thermaltake product you're going to see on this channel. I thought the company was getting better. They're actually getting far worse. They're degraded now to the point that I don't want to even, just looking at the name Thermaltake puts me into a rage. Give them money so that they can just harass you. I got a better idea. How about I don't give you any money and you stop harassing me? How about that deal? That sounds like a better deal to me. Or you can continue to harass me so long as I'm not giving you the money. But when I'm giving you money, I expect you to be appreciative and to show that you care, that I'm having a great experience with your product, and that thought never enters their mind. I think it used to. Something's changed over there. They just don't care anymore. As far as they're concerned, I can go to hell. That's the best thing. They haven't said it, but they kind of have. They've become almost like dictators over there. And, you know, I won't tolerate that from any person. I sure as heck won't tolerate it from a company. I don't like the lies and the deception in their marketing. And overall, I don't like the lack of thought that really went into this design. And it's further worrying that so many other content creators that have reviewed this case have nothing but praise for it. How far does this deception go? I don't know. something for you to think about. Now this, because this is a mini ITX board, we only get one slot. And so we're going to use that. We have to use it for our capture card. Most people would probably, if you're a home user, want to put a graphics card in here. That's probably the most common thing people will do. I don't have that kind of money. I just don't get people that'll spend thousands of dollars and then on top of that pay for video games just to sit around all day and not make any money, not help their community, not fix up their own house. They just sit on the couch and play video games. And how you're able to do that and still have the money to pay for the computer and pay for the video games, that is always a mystery to me. Because usually, if you're working to earn the money to buy the equipment to play the video games, you no longer have time to play the video games. But if you have all the time in the world to play the video games and the high-end equipment required to play a lot of video games, then where's the money coming from? Because you're clearly not working. Life is tough. Life isn't fair. And I'm not putting down anybody. I'm just genuinely, I can't put this math together. If you work to earn the money that's needed to buy the equipment in the games, then you don't have any time to play the games, not much. And if you have the time to play the games and to pay for the equipment, then you're not spending much time earning any money. So if anybody can explain this to me, I'd love to understand it. Now, I understand if people are, teenagers and parents are buying them stuff, but when I see people in their 20s and 30s, they must have a great job that pays them much better than anybody that I personally know. Because usually by the time you're done paying the rent, the utilities, and buying groceries and paying your internet, to have enough left over to buy the video card for this. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing well. But we're not doing that. We're building this specifically because I want a smaller machine for the streamer, something that won't take up as much room. I'm running out of room here in Studio C, and there's nothing wrong with the streamer we have now. It's a 7950 X3D. This is a 9950 X3D. Why? Because we can, honestly. The side of things where we were selling computers, that's all sort of dried up. It's dried up all over. If you watch Mike's unboxing reviews and how-tos, he's in England. Even he did a video recently where he's like, I know this computer that I'm going to build today isn't going to sell, but I'm going to build it anyway. Well, that's the mode I've been in. And unfortunately now, I have pretty much boxed myself and painted myself into a corner where there's very little room to move around here, with the idea that, well, somebody's going to call and, businesses are going to need to replace their Windows 10 computers with Windows 11 computers. All the traditional stuff that's kept me in business for all these years is all come to a complete stop. I mean, a dead stop. And it's been that way since January. I mean, it is just stopped. And I thought, well, if I just make it through October, when Windows 10 support ends, then these companies waiting to the last minute, they'll all call me at once and I'll sell out. But then when Microsoft extended that support another 12 months, they just screwed all of us. So that means, good on the home users. We just talked about one extreme to the other, didn't we? We've got the home users that have expendable cash and expendable time, that spend ungodly amounts of money on a gaming PC and to buy the games to sit around and spend hours absorbed into playing games. They always have to have the latest and greatest, whatever they can afford. Then the other side of the internet, there's almost very little middle. The other side is people that have a computer from 1904 and they want to know how they can install Windows 11 on it because they can't afford to buy a new one. They're using machines that are putting their entire identity, everything about them on that computer is at risk of being stolen very easily by a hacker in another country. The minute you plug into high bandwidth internet, they can snatch everything from you in a second. You won't even know what happened. Your identity's gone. Everything you care about can be gone simply because you didn't upgrade to a more secure operating system. So for now, by Microsoft extending Windows 10 support that additional year, if you do the minimal little requirement there, that means all this inventory may sit here until then at this point. So we're going to see a lot fewer of builds, and they may need to get creative with regards to starting to disassemble these computers they're worth more as parts than they are assembled. It's the insanity of the world we live in. Somebody will offer, you know, when you think about all the time and labor that goes into building and configuring a computer, that has no value today, zero value. And so if you sell somebody the computer built and ready to go, they're going to lowball you on it. But if you sell them the individual components and they lowball you on those, that will almost increase the revenue by 50%. So a $500 computer right now sold in parts is probably about $700, thereabouts. But sold complete, $500. And then when it's sold complete, if they have a problem with it, they're going to call you and expect you to give them free support. Versus if you sell them parts and the parts don't work, they screwed something up. You know what I mean? Like the likelihood for a support call is far reduced when they only bought one part from you and there's 7 other parts that could be a problem. Go call those 7 other people you got those parts from. So we do see 2 very different extremes online here on the internet, especially on YouTube. We have people that want to continue to use old obsolete hardware and want to know how they can extend it and bypass security requirements on Windows 11. Doing so puts you in a worse position. You're much better off with Windows 10 than to put Windows 11 on an unsupported computer. Putting Windows 11 on an unsupported computer makes that computer more vulnerable and exposed to hackers than just leaving Windows 10 on it. You're not getting away with anything. You're just leaving your doors and windows open. And if you want to do that, you know, set your expectations accordingly. That being said, you'll notice a shift in the video content we're doing. Will be a lot more NASs. There'll be a lot more other content other than PC building. I think that heyday is behind us. I think it's going to go back to a niche market again, which is what it was 10, 15 years ago. And then eventually it won't be a sustainable business model for anybody. So we're moving that way, and everybody with their smartphones and tablets, especially their smartphones. You know, there's no dial-up on here. there's no worrying about high-speed internet access or security updates. It's all happening whether you like it or not. And Microsoft really needs to go back to the drawing board and sort of emulate iOS or Android in order to get a really good, solid working operating system. And you still have to provide the internet to it separately as a separate cost, versus when you're paying for your phone, your internet comes with your service for most people if it's a smartphone. So I think this is sort of, for home users, this is dead and buried for the most part. For businesses, on the other hand, businesses more than ever, they need computers. But they don't want computers with glass panels and screens. They want just bland metal boxes, and a lot of times we can replace those with mini PCs that take up less room, they cost less money, and they're far less repairable. So the amount of work you can get from that, you know, we never really made much money on PCs, but we'd make money in service. When it comes to a mini PC or even any modern computer, once you deploy it, hook it up, get it configured on the network, the printers, the end user's email, and, you know, access to whatever they need, they pretty much don't need you anymore unless they click on something they're not supposed to click on, or if there's a, you know, a big power surge or a storm, something that might cause damage to the equipment. A lot of the equipment that I installed 10 years ago still runs and is still operating businesses today. NASs, we've got some Synology NASs out there from 2018. That's 7 years ago. There's no reason to replace them. There's no reason to replace the drives. They're all original drives. All of the quality control has gone up. As long as you buy good stuff, like we're using Western Digital Red and Seagate Iron Wolf drives. I haven't seen one fail in years and years and years. But like I said, on the internet, you also have this extreme opposite where you have people that are using 15-year-old hard drives and, you know, 13-year-old computers. And yeah, they're the ones primarily asking for help. And it's getting impossible to help them because you can't get them any spare parts anymore. At that point, you end up spending more time and more money trying to keep something old running than buying a new mini PC for $120. With Windows 11 already on it, brand new warranty, it's going to smoke that computer that's 13 years old. It'll just run right circles around it. Even the most budget, cheapest mini PC will run circles That's how fast the technology evolves. And people are stubborn. They won't move. And okay, we'll sit there and suffer. You know, I can help you for 250, or you can just go buy a new mini PC for 120 and be done with it with a new warranty, and not just fix it, but make it a lot faster than it ever was before. And so more and more people are just like, well, screw both of that. I don't like your answer, and I'm not going to buy a new one, so I'm just going to use my phone. Businesses don't have this opportunity. Businesses have to, you know, their motivation is to stay in business and to generate a profit. So to a business, stuff like this is a very minor little expense. But the maintenance of what businesses require today, at least on my customers, I've never had an easier job. It's pretty rare calls come in. And when they come in, they're usually pretty serious. But they just don't come in like they used to. Everything's just, the operating system's more reliable. We're not getting like random blue screens of death anymore. We're not getting power supply failures anymore. We're not seeing hard drive failures anymore. It still happens, but it is about 90% plus less likely than it used to be. So if I used to do, I don't know, 3 bad hard drives a month that would come in, now we're lucky to see 1 bad hard drive in 3 years. It's flipped completely the other way around. And so in that way, it makes the hardware a lot more better of a value overall. Those days of, you know, I got a 286, well, now the 386 came out. Now the 486 came out. And then the DX2 and the DX4, and then the Pentium 2. The speeds kept doubling, and the improvements were pretty massive. 32-bit to 64-bit was pretty big. Today, even if we double what we have today, it's almost unnoticeable. Once you reach a certain point, it doesn't really matter how much higher you go over that. That's like I talked about the temperature. Once it hits 106 degrees or 105 degrees here in Phoenix, it really doesn't matter anymore. It could go up another 15 degrees. It could go to 121. It's just too hot at 106. So it's not like it gets better, and it's not like it gets worse. Once a temperature hits a certain point, from my perspective, I'm not going outside unless I have to. It could be 155. If it's 106, 155, I'm not going out unless I have to. And much the same way, this is what's happened with computer hardware. Once you hit certain speeds or a certain amount of RAM, a certain number of cores, anything above and beyond that is likely unnoticeable unless you have a very specific resource-intensive use case for your computer. It does not represent the norm. And so they still make computers for those reasons, but a lot of people are buying them simply for numbers that don't really add up to anything practical that make it worth spending twice as much to go twice as fast, when from the end user's perspective, it's going to run exactly the same. You're not going to read any faster. You're not going to type any faster. Your internet doesn't become any faster, and you don't become faster because you have a faster computer. So at that point, you are the bottleneck to the machine. So unless you can upgrade yourself, spending all that money, it's a placebo. And I'm not telling you not to, but it absolutely is reflected in how many computers are being sold this year overall, to home users in particular. As I mentioned, with businesses, they still need computers more so than ever before. So a lot of my focus will shift more to the business side in order to stay in business. And I think the home user enthusiast community is starting to get smaller because they're just giving up. They're pretty much saying, look, I'm done with this. It's too much money. It never ends. I'll just use my phone. I'll just use my tablet. And it'll go back to the way it used to be, where there were just little computer clubs and such, where it was so unlikely to find somebody else into computers in 1986 that when you found one, you'd say, hey, let's start a little club, and maybe 30, 40 people would show up. We're moving back that way. And the rest of society is moving to the smartphone and, you know, having the internet always on without a separate bill. That's high speed. And on top of that, they always have this with them and they can play games on it. So the consumer side of things, yeah. But again, on the business side, when it comes to business class machines, Dell and HP and Lenovo, just Google how many computers they've sold this year. And that's primarily due to business. So you can understand, if I want to stay in business, where I need to focus my business. But also, home users more and more want to host their own cloud services if it's not too technical. So as we talk more and more about the popularity of network attached storage, creating your own cloud service, that also becomes appealing to, first of all, the enthusiasts who understand what that is. But once home users understand you don't have to pay for Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive or Dropbox, you can create that yourself. You pay for it once and you can use it without any subscriptions. I think once sort of that becomes more commonly known, all those subscriptions are going to drop as people start to want to move away from subscription services due to the ongoing expense of groceries and gas and rent. We've seen a big decline in gaming too, but that may be a combination of the fact that a lot of the gaming studios have gone out of business, they're not making enough money, and the ones that are producing games, they're lackluster and unoriginal. And so the gamers have lost a lot of enthusiasm, which then reverts us back to the old-fashioned consoles and handhelds of the 80s and the 90s. So everything's kind of reverting back around that way. We'll see how it plays out, and of course we'll pivot here on the channel depending on where the interest lies in the viewers. But that's what's going on. If you haven't been paying attention, this is what's going on all over the world. It's not just here in the United States. And we just have to respond accordingly and just let you know these changes are coming, and we're just going with the flow. We have no control over it. We either choose to participate or not to participate. That's it. Those are our two choices. So I enjoyed making these videos, and so long as I can, if it means we have to shift focus into where the general consensus of viewers are shifting their interest to, then that's what we're going to do, whatever that means. But in the meantime, we still have computers to build. We still have upgrades to do. When repairs come in, we'll still do them. They're just far, far less frequent than they used to be. And it's because the technology's just gotten so good, quite frankly. And the needs, especially of consumers, they're very different today. And I'm sure if you talk to anybody that does this professionally, they'll share the same. And we're going to bring on some more people in the industry, and we're going to discuss a little bit more of this from other people's perspectives. We'll see where they agree with me and maybe, of course, where they disagree. So we'll have more interviews with folks like Matt's Computer Services, who does a really great job on his videos, Planet Cryos, our friend Doug Betts, who also does computer repairs and works as a business. We'll still twisting Mike's unboxing to get his twist his arm to get him over here and join us. And of course, our friend my mind just went blank. Scott Merrill. Ask Your Computer Guy, Scott Merrill. And Scott, Doug, Mike's Unboxing, Matt's Computer Services. These guys all work in the industry, and we all have our own take on where we see it going, who our customer base is, if we're primarily business or consumer, and what part of the country we're in also makes a big difference as well. More rural areas, very different needs than, say, more urban areas. So I really enjoy comparing notes with other techs. Just taking a look here in the chat to see what I'm missing. Barry Klein joins us and says hello. Who else do we have in here? Jerry Span says Windows 10 is good till October of 2026. There are certain conditions you must meet, but if you just Google that, you'll often, if you run Windows 10 right now and go to Windows Update, you may see the offer for Windows Extended Security Updates, or ESU. And if you click on that, it's all explained. Or just Google search Windows 10 ESU or Extended Security Updates. The information's out there. I don't know how you could have not heard about it. It's everywhere. So yes, under those conditions, that's explained in those pieces, including the pieces we covered on it as well. Dave Froman said, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Exactly. Anthony Pete says hello. And K Cordius Technology joins us. Welcome in. And Jung says hello, as does Marcus Lamb. John Williams joins us there from Wisconsin. Paul Howe says hello. Luke Walker says hello. He says mini PCs are laptops with bigger screens. Well, I suppose if your laptop needs to be plugged in and doesn't have a battery, and doesn't have a built-in keyboard or mouse, and 18 other differences, they're exactly the same, other than all of those differences. Sometimes people just want to look at things a certain way, that it doesn't matter what the actual differences are. They're all the same. If what you mean to say is that many PCs use mobile parts, yes, but that doesn't make them laptops. I guess your phone's a laptop too. Anything that uses mobile parts is a laptop. Okay, got it. Gary Tatum says hello. And let's see. Lana Dro, Walmart used to be open 24 hours. I think Walmarts are still open 24 hours. Maybe it's just where you live. I'm sure there's some 24-hour Walmarts around you. Pretty sure. Just not all of them. Andy says, since I discovered inexpensive mini PCs, I've had fun taking them apart. I even mess with the BIOS without too much fear of messing something up. Yeah, well, they're definitely not as configurable, generally speaking. Since you can't change out parts, there's no reason to have to configure it to accommodate different parts. Ohio Catfishing said, I've seen rumors that Microsoft's next gaming console will be a computer console hybrid. I wonder if there will be upgrades and maintenance needs with those. Well, there's one thing that stays true on the internet. No matter what's out, nobody's interested. And what's coming out or not coming out, people will speculate about and spend hours and hours and hours fighting and discussing what might be or may never be. In the meantime, ignoring what is. I find the whole thing very strange. Instead of discussing here and now, they're more interested in talking about what might be tomorrow, completely ignoring the present. Nobody really knows, and all this conjecture and gossip is maybe entertaining for somebody with nothing else better to do or who finds entertainment in it. But in my line of work, I'm not really interested in conjecture and speculation because it doesn't pay the bills, and I don't really know any more than anybody else does. What I'm interested in is what exists or what is officially announced. And until then, anything you dream up in your head is possible. But while you're sitting there dreaming all that up, you're ignoring what's available today. I cannot get on board with this line of thought. I just don't understand it. I can't understand how you can't appreciate the amazing technology that's available right now to you, and instead would choose to speculate on what might be tomorrow. You have no control over it. I mean, if you're an engineer or you work for the company or you have some say in the matter, all the power to you. But as a consumer, just reacting to what companies choose to release and you want to second guess what's next from any particular company, chances are you're nowhere near what happens or when it happens. But if you enjoy that sort of madness, you'll continue that without me, because honestly, there's no point in it. It won't change anything. I think too many people just don't appreciate a technology we have available today. They're always more interested in what's coming out. This has always been the case. And when it comes out, they're not interested anymore. It's just sort of like, I can't wait till this thing comes out. And then it comes out and they don't talk about it. They set themselves up for massive disappointment that it's not what they thought it would be. So they're on to the next thing that might come out. That one will be amazing. And, you know, I've been doing this professionally since 1991. And just imagine 34 years of just listening to the same old crap over and over and over again. It's just a merry-go-round I don't want to get on. So we offer solutions to customers that are available today. I don't ever tell my customers there might be something tomorrow. Maybe Synology will do this, or maybe QNAP will do that, or maybe 25 gig networking will become affordable for average small business. I don't know. Here's what I do know. This is what we can do for you today. Here's what the costs are. Here's what's available. And, you know, I do what I can to live in the now, not in the past, and not speculate about the future. It's sort of a luxury of time to just kind of daydream and go, what if? I mean, what if you got back to work? That's what so many of you are saying right now. I can hear it. All right. Alan with a Y says hello, along with Old Man 55 joining us. John Brentford says hello. Welcome in. Welcome in, everyone. All right. So the first thing I need to do is, I guess we're going to fire this up just so I can remember. I think I've got everything updated on here. Windows, I believe Windows is activated. Assuming all that's right, then we can install the video capture card. I think that would be the next thing to do. Make sure we get the drivers for it, which we might have to go to Elgato and download this driver. I'm not sure. I can't remember because I do this once every couple of years and I just don't remember. And then after that, we install OBS, which is a free download. We'll grab that, install it. Once it's installed, then I can take all of the backups of my video files, video overlays, you know, intros and overlays, as well as my OBS backup itself, copy that from the streamer onto a flash drive, and then copy it right back over onto here. At that point, we could probably switch the stream to this computer and test it and see if it works while we're live. Talk about playing with fire. Switching a live stream while it's live from one source to another source, well, it's definitely not the most stable thing you can do as far as like guaranteeing the stream quality and that everything's going to work. But it's one hell of a way to test it. So maybe we'll have a little excitement today. So let me start by just hooking this up and firing it up and making sure it's good to go, which I think it is. I've worked on so many projects this week, I can't remember where we left it, but I feel like we left it in a state that it was all done as far as we could take it, until I had worked out with Thermaltake what we were doing about the screen. And Thermaltake took their sweet time to get back to me, and I'll put all kinds of obstacles in the way of customer service and doing the right thing. So once we played their little game, we danced their little dance they required us to dance, then they finally did what they should have done right out of the gate without all the hassle and without all the delays. So I'll let you know when that cable arrives. We don't know. It's supposedly being sent to us, but did it ship yet? They're silent on it. So we'll just, at this point, they said we're sending it, whatever that means. So we'll do what we can without it, which is basically, you know, finish what we started here. And again, the screen is just ornamental. It's decorative. It's not critical to our build, but just not a normal situation. If I were installing a screen on any other computer, you've never seen this problem before. This is a Thermaltake isolated issue with products that Thermaltake claims work together that obviously don't. So that's why I'm so upset by it. This isn't my first rodeo. I've installed screens, just look back in the video history from John's Bow and others. Never had this issue from any manufacturer. And you think things should be getting better, but in this case, Thermaltake went way backwards. Well, let's see, we got power, we've got the keyboard and the mouse. Let me plug in my network connection. Now again, I can use my network and copy my OBS backup and my video files over the network, but it's probably not an option for many of you, although many of you probably don't use OBS. However, I feel like the educational side of it would be more helpful to more people by showing how to use an external media versus using an internal network. If I'm wrong, you know, let me know. So we've got power, keyboard, mouse, network, and then I also need an HDMI cable so we can take a look here and boot this thing up. We'll take a look at it together. We're using onboard video. And quite frankly, as a video content creator, onboard video is far superior than any NVIDIA or AMD discrete graphics card or even any Intel graphics card. They're all, they actually make things worse and more expensive. So don't think that, you know, having a video card or using integrated graphics is one is superior to the other. It might be to you, but to me or to other people's needs, it's the other way around. That's why these options exist, to accommodate different people's needs, expectations, and budgets. So I wouldn't turn my nose up at any of it. And today's integrated graphics are so good, and they're only getting better, that what you're going to see coming into the future as we move toward the future is digital cameras are going away. Even point and shoot digital cameras. A few more years, they'll be gone. Already the little digital point and shoot cameras, those are already gone. Nobody sells those anymore. They don't make them anymore, is what I should say. The digital SLRs, those are going away. Everything's being replaced and being surpassed by the smartphone. The technology and the lenses and the megapixels and the AI auto image repair and modifications are far superior on a smartphone than they are on a digital SLR, and they're only going to surpass digital SLRs, so that they just won't make them anymore. There won't be enough money in it. So those are going away, being replaced by smartphones. And smartphones are going to surpass everything an SLR can do. On top of that, there was another one. Oh, video cards. Integrated graphics are getting so good that in a couple more years, there just aren't going to be discrete graphics cards anymore. There won't be any money in making them. And the difference in performance, again, once you reach a certain point of performance, anything above that doesn't matter anymore. So they'll either be extraordinarily expensive for specialty jobs, you know, sort of rendering jobs regarding topography or 3D printing and things like that, maybe. But it's just going to continue to expand and evolve. And all of these add-on pieces that we currently add on, like when we add on RAM and we add on storage, that's all going away. And it's all getting micronized and converged into a little teeny tiny thing that's way more powerful with more space and more performance than you can use, with few exceptions, right? There's always going to be those people that will use every bit of it. But those people aren't enough to keep an industry alive. So, well, we'll always have that level of enthusiast. The vast majority of the public worldwide will be buying the thing that gives them the most value. And yeah, video cards will go away, discrete ones, and digital SLR cameras will go away. The point and shoot ones, nobody makes point and shoot digital cameras anymore. They're gone. So if you see any for sale, like the old Canon Digital L, you're buying old inventory. And so it is, right? And I'll tell you what, the camera in my phone is better than any camera I own. So why would I want to go backwards to the older tech? On top of that, I can instantly upload my photos, edit my photos. I get a bigger screen and on the back of a camera. This is way more useful, and they just get better every single year. Well, the digital SLRs just get a little tiny bit better. So it's going to leapfrog over them in a couple of years, and that'll be that. And so it goes. Let's turn this on. Let's see. I think I've got everything plugged in right there. Here we go. The fans are a-turning, as we can see up here. And let's go to the HDMI output here, which is right here. Let's see if we're booting up. Now this does have 96 gigs of RAM in it. And oh boy, I got a busy desktop here. Let me go full screen on this so I can see it the way you guys do. Oh, this is all the testing stuff, I see. So we're done testing all this. We already did all this. So we'll get rid of all the testing stuff and clean this up a little bit because it's bothering my OCD. We already ran Cinebench on here, and we took the screenshot of our results. In case you missed it, these were our points over here and our maximum temps over here. So this thing's running beautifully. As far as performance on the Orico drive, it's outstanding. It's one of the, if not the fastest Generation 4 NVMe drive available on the market. And it's also, I believe, the cheapest, and the cheapest by about $20. It's significantly and aggressively priced. So I am super excited, and I really thank the folks at Orico for sending this to us. This is the IG740, which they say is industry grade. Well, I don't know how much industry grade is a marketing term, but I can tell you these numbers on a Gen 4 NVMe drive at just over $100 for 2 terabytes. Are you kidding me? Actually, I think it's under $100 when it's on sale. For 2 terabytes, they're practically giving it away. 5-year warranty, the same as the big name brands without the big name brand price. Yes, please. Can I have some more? All right. So let me just, I think we already took care of our network browsing fix. I don't need that anymore. I've got VLC installed on here, and I've already run my optimizer on here, so I don't need that either. That's a lot cleaner. So the first thing I can do to kick things off is to install OBS. I'll just type OBS right up here. It's free. Anybody can download this. And in Edge, we get the download right here. And we want it for Windows. Download the installer. That's exactly what I want. Version 31.1.2 is the latest. It's a relatively small program. As you see, it downloads real quick. And then once it's downloaded, give it just a second to verify the file here. I will click on this to install. There we go. Now I can hit Open File. Click Yes. And I can close everything else out. There we go. And all I'm going to do is hit Next, Next, Install. Real simple. If they don't mess with it, I don't have to worry about things not working right. If you mess with it, have fun with that. Relatively small application. And incredibly powerful if you ever want to live stream, or even if you're using Zoom. It's a lot more powerful than just the Zoom software. OBS can become your virtual camera. So in other words, when we start OBS, there's a button. OBS will start here in just a moment. There's a button that says virtual camera. What that means is any source video, any source cameras, I have 4 input sources on top of all my intros. They will all emulate a webcam when I turn on virtual camera. And whatever they're displaying is exactly what will be sent out to Zoom, or OBS pretends to be a webcam. And you can plug a webcam in and let OBS control it, but then you can switch to different webcams or even play video files and have it output like a webcam. And so that the item that you're sending the webcam data to you can change your input sources really easily without having to actually physically change them. It's all virtualized. It's really neat. Update information, optimized for streaming, optimized for recording. So I've already done all this with the configuration files of the current OBS, so I don't need to go through this again. So like by default, you'll see my audio mixer bar is horizontal. I prefer it to be vertical. Lots of little personalization changes, and then when you go into File and Settings, I have modified and fine-tuned all of these settings over the years, and I don't want to do that all over again. Now you will notice that we can do a backup here under, I think it's under Profile. Yeah, we can import and export the profiles. Or I can just simply replace the entire OBS directory. And the way that we do that is if you leave the OBS installer alone, it always installs to the same place. So if we go to the yellow folder, I go to this PC, and I go to the C drive, and then I go to the users folder. Then I pick my username, which on this computer I named myself user. And there's a hidden folder. So if we click on View and show those hidden folders, show hidden items, you'll see we have an app data folder. In there, under roaming, we have OBS Studio. If I just copy this entire folder, I get all my profiles, all my settings, everything. All I have to do is copy it. And it's not very big. Now granted, a backup is exporting just the profile itself is a much faster, smaller file, but this isn't really all that big. I think we're looking at what does that say? It's a meg, half of a meg. It's really tiny. So I just grab it all. Now that, some people may say that's the hard way, right? You can just import your profile, it's a lot faster. But I just think it's faster for me to take the whole damn directory, and then I don't have to go through menuing systems. That's the way I see it anyway. So at this point right now, before I copy anything over, we need to get the capture card installed. Oh, and let me just check a couple things. If I right click and go to system, I think we're activated, aren't we? 96 gigs of RAM, Ryzen 9 9950X3D, Windows 11 24H2, everything looks good. Product key and activation, active. Perfect, yeah. So, I'm remembering correctly, I left this in a state where we can continue to set it up as our streamer. So let's come back over here to camera 1. And let me see if you guys have any questions yet before I continue and wait for this to power down. Michael says it's me again from Built Wells in Wales. In years, the size of a computer will be a postage stamp. What will your channel be like? Well, it depends how we're using those postage stamps. Remember, screens are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So having a computer the size of a postage stamp isn't going to help you to watch YouTube videos or movies. It might be great as a portable music player, but as we converge all the different technologies together, our hands are so big, and no matter how small the technology is, the housing that it needs to be in, you know, may need to be 100 times bigger than what's inside of it for us to be able to use it. You know, we could also see implants. We could see all different kinds of ways this can steer. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody could have guessed in 1995 or even in 2005, really, what was going to happen with smartphones and broadband internet access, as we were still dealing with dial-up, DSL, and you had to have a computer to get online. It went from just having wireless phone calls and text messages, suddenly became full internet access everywhere you went, which meant you can now use it as a GPS. So separate sales of GPSs have gone down the toilet. Separate sales of cameras, video cameras versus still cameras, down the toilet. Except for professional filmmakers and really high-end enthusiasts that have the budget for that. They're converging them all into a smaller form factor. Imagine if this didn't need to have a battery, how much smaller it could be. And as the battery technology improves and different materials are used for longer battery life, lighter weight, less of a fire hazard, longer useful life, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but no one can predict it. But as long as we're here to respond to it, we have to have something actually happen, and then we can respond to it. We can't respond to it before it happens because it likely isn't predictable. Nobody saw where we're at. Nobody saw that coming. Now, people might have said, you know, maybe back in the day, somebody like Isaac Asimov might have said something like, someday we're going to have a device that connects us to the world that'll be with us everywhere we go. He might have said that, but he still couldn't have been any more specific. It could have been anything. And in that way, the technology will continue to evolve and grow. And when that happens, we'll be here to keep you on top of it and let you know what's going on. That's all I can assure you of, as long as we're here. All right. I didn't need to say that part, did I? I love that Welsh accent. I wish I could hear that person ask me the question in their dialect. It's a wonderful, I mean, I like a lot of UK-based accents, Scottish and Irish, in the different areas in England. But something about that Welsh accent. Anyway, sorry, I drifted off for a minute. Let me pull the power plug on this, because we don't want to install any cards into this. Even if the machine is off, there's still power running through it, and that's a heck of a way to ruin your new build. It takes 2 seconds. There's no reason to not do it. If you want to risk it and think everything will be fine, it's really irresponsible and unnecessary. This is not a big effort. All right, so let's get our Camlink Pro out here. This also has all of our spare parts in there too. We have a lot of spare parts between these two boxes, and I will eventually combine them all. Hopefully they'll all fit in here. So I bought this a few months ago. It's still taped up. I've never taken it out of the box because, you know, this is a key component for me to do what I do. Yes, I can plug a webcam in and broadcast that way, but it's nowhere near of the level of quality that I demand. So to me, that would be slumming it, and it would be sort of embarrassing if I had to do that. Times would have to be, I would have to be in a pretty tough place to find that acceptable. What's more acceptable is just buy these while I can get them. Just a couple. I don't need to buy every one of them. Just have a spare over here and a spare over at Studio A. And in that way, I always have something to fall back on should an emergency strike. I'm ready for it. This is my insurance. At the end of the day, it's way cheaper than regular insurance, let me tell you. Now, since we upgraded to 4K, all of those 1080 4-port capture cards, I don't use them anymore. I won't go back to 1080. I have no intention to, and again, unless something changes with internet bandwidth cost, I don't see us going backwards. So those 1080 4-port capture cards are all being sold off, and try and get that money to, well, just to show you how far technology's come, these are about $250 a piece, 4-port 4K. The 4-port 1080 cards, $900. At least the ones that we use. They've always been $900. They've never changed their price, ever. If I come over here to Amazon and we look it up right now, I'll show you. Let me go over to Amazon. And let's go to my screen capture so you guys can see. There it is. And I'm going to just type up here, Magewell. And this is a professional capture card. Versus the 4K capture card that we're putting in is more enthusiast level. So this is really overkill. Oh, the price went up. It went up. So we've got about 4 of these and just trying to sell them for a couple $100. And the reason is I won't use these anymore. And again, they are really, really for professional, like Hollywood use. And it's a bit overkill for me to be using them, but even still, they're only 1080. And YouTube doesn't require the kind of bitrate that this thing can do. So for us, it makes more sense now. If we go to B&H Photo, we'll see if they still have the Logitech one so we can compare it. So we, sorry, not Logitech, Elgato, which I think is Corsair. So Elgato Camlink Pro. Right here, $250. So I can buy 4 of these for what? One of the older 1080s. Capture up to 4K at 30 frames, 4 HDMI ports. Now you got to be careful because if you look on Amazon for a 4-port capture card like this, it says 4K. What it's saying is each one of these is 1080, and then totaled up they're 4K. They're a little sneaky like that with the lesser known name brands. Ask me how I know. So this is going to be 4K per input. As you can imagine, that's a lot of bandwidth that's got to go through the PCIe slot, and it can get really hot. So that's why you're going to see cooling fans on these. And Camlink has covered the cooling fan up with this housing. But this is what we're using. They're still made and they're still available today. But I'm so afraid that since this is really the only real one on the market, I think Acasis has one as well. I just wanted to buy it before I need it, because you can almost guarantee if I need it, I won't be able to find it at that time. They'll be out of stock. You know, I used to be able to buy these on Amazon. Amazon doesn't carry them anymore. If you look for Elgato Camlink Pro, when we copy and paste that over here into Amazon, I'm sure it's going to bring us nothing. Let's see what it shows. Yeah, this little USB guy here. This is SDI. This is, again, really high-end professional stuff. Cameras that have SDI outputs are always more money. Here's a 4K Pro 8K 60, but that's not going to have 4 ports. that's got one port with a pass-through. Here's the Acasis that costs more money, has no cooling fan, and it only records in 1080. So it'll take a 4K input, but it's going to downsize it down to 1080. Then you've got these external boxes like this, which again are going to be one input, one output. I need 4 inputs, 1 output. Again, 1 input, 1 output here as well. We're looking for the CamLink Pro, and their names are all very similar. And you know, having an 8K camera would also be very expensive. So this is a very specialized capture card, pretty high-end by today's standards. You know, we only just got to 4K. Can't even imagine going to 8. Plus the bandwidth would double again. You'd need, for me to live stream at 8K 60, I'd need somewhere around 60 megabytes per second upload. Megabits, 60 megabits per second upload. So yeah, I can't get that 4-port 4K Elgato CamLink Pro on Amazon anymore. I don't know why. I know this looks like it, but this is a very different card. If you look at the end of it, it's only going to have 2 ports. Do they even show the end of the card? Yeah, 1 input, 1 output, in and out. That's it. And of course, this one says game capture at 4K and an 8K HDMI cable. So I guess it'll pass through 8K, but it won't actually convert that for streaming. It'll convert it down to 4K, which again, most people barely have the bandwidth now to even do 4K. Your upload bandwidth is 8 megabits. You can do 1080. Quadruple that, you can do 4K. Quadruple that again. Would it be quadrupled or doubled? It would be doubled, I think. I haven't tried it, so you'd need a massive amount of upload bandwidth. Anyway, just so people can watch it on their phones. Let me get back over here to camera 1, and let's get back to unboxing this. Oh, and let me get back over to the chat room so I can see your comments and address any questions you guys might have. Now, normally I would just take the capture card out of the red streamer and just move it in here, but I can't do that while I'm using it. So I have no choice but to open one of the spares. But I guess I'll just keep the box, and when I take the other one out of the current one out of the red streamer, I'll just put it in here and put it back up on the shelf. DJ Ryan says hello. There's Chris at Goblin IT saying hello. What's interesting is if you buy that Magewell capture card for $1,000, all you get is, all they send you is a plain unbranded cardboard box with this, with a card in it. Even here, you see the anti-static bag, it has the name. Nope, they don't even do that. It's as generic and sketchy as it comes. It's a plain brown box with no drivers and no instructions, no cables and no accessories. For $1,000, that's what you get with the Magewell. But when you're dealing with Hollywood level equipment, you're supposed to know what you're doing, and you shouldn't need any of that. I guess that's the logic. So CamLink is more consumer based, where Magewell is more industry based, and that's why there's a big discrepancy in price and even in support. Good luck contacting Magewell for support. All right, so that's our card, and then what else do we have in the box? A little bit of documentation. Oh, we get a little badge right here. I don't know if I can close in on that or not. It's a little badge. Sticker comes out. That's important. Make your video clearer. I don't think there's anything under here. I don't think you get any cables. Yeah, it's just all empty. That's it. That's so far $250 will get you. That's okay, because I wouldn't use any, you know me, I wouldn't use any of that anyway. So we'll just get this out of the way, and let's take this out of here. Like I said, we'll probably take the current, it's the exact same model that's in the streamer now, and we'll just put it all right back in the box. It's pretty tiny overall. You can see our 4 HDMI inputs. There is no output on this. The reason why some have outputs is when people are playing, let's say, an Xbox or a PlayStation, you'd plug your PlayStation output into one, and then you take the output, which is the other one, and run it to your TV. So you can watch the game you're playing while the capture card records it and streams it out via Twitch or wherever you want to send it. This, on the other hand, has no HDMI outputs. It's inputs only, and the output is going to be through software. So whether or not you need what we call a pass-through or loopback depends on how you intend to use it. Okay, so since we're not hooking up a console, we're not doing any of that stuff, and even if we were, we still wouldn't use a pass-through. We would be just using, you could even use OBS, quite frankly, to play your game while you're recording it without going old school to another monitor. But to each their own. With that, in order for me to get to this slot right here, which is normally these cards go in horizontally, but they've got this so that it puts your video card vertical. And I can already see this cable is going to be a little bit in our way. We're going to have to pull some of that slack back a little bit right here on this riser cable so that we can plug this in very easily. It'll plug straight in. And I'm just looking to see, it should be, just verify. We've got 3 slots back here. I'm just trying to figure out which one it is. I think it's going to be the one closest to the edge, but I'm not 100% positive. So let me grab my glasses right here so as I can seize. And I guess I'll take my screwdriver out. And we're going to start with this rear port right here. I mean, if I was that uncertain, I could just remove all 3, figure out what's left, put the other 2 back. But I'm trying to work a little smarter. We need to make sure this little latch under here is opened up, just like you would when installing a graphics card. Although there is no hook on this to hold it in. If you notice the connector down here, there's no latch for it. So that, I guess, won't matter because the card, even though you'll notice the PCIe slot is just like a by 16. No, sorry, a by 8. By 8? Or is it by 4? Can't remember. Anyway, even though the slot we're plugging it into is much, much bigger, PCIe is universal. So that way you can put a card that doesn't require as many lanes, such as this one. It's going to go towards the edge like any other card. It just isn't going to go all the way to the back. So I guess that little latch back there doesn't matter if it's opened or closed. Some people think that the slot has to be the same width as the connector. No, it must be this big or bigger on PCIe. So we're going to go into a by 16 slot. Let me see. I'm trying to take a look at it while I'm doing it. It's sort of blocking my view here. I've got to push against that riser cable. It's just a terrible design. And it's pushing the card away from the slot, which is making it difficult for me to seat it. So bear with me for a second as I fight with this. It's just a bad case design overall. It looks great, don't get me wrong. It's a great looking case, but boy did they execute it poorly. So I think what I'm going to need to do is lay this down onto its side. We'll go back over to camera 1. I'm going to lay this on its side and see if I can't get a better view of what's going on in here. Shouldn't be this difficult to slot a card in, honestly. And now what I'm trying to do is just get it all aligned so that even on the back here, everything's straight, and then it should fit straight down in. Finally, I got it figured out, so it looks like that. And then I can put I'll save this slot cover. We'll just throw it in the box so it'll match the others. If, you know, at some point the purpose for this case will change, and that way we can still have all the original parts to put it back to whoever, however it's going to be reconfigured, if they do want to put a graphics card or if we choose to do that. Or we just want to take the cards out of it entirely, but we don't want to leave the slot, you know, just empty. Putting the slot cover back in just takes a minute to put it back with everything else, because that day will come. Your needs will change. You'll sell it to somebody else who wants it for different reasons. And having that just keeps it nice. It's not required, but it's certainly, you know, no benefit to throwing it in the trash or losing it. If you got to put it somewhere, put it all together, keep it all together. Then you can just lose everything at once when you forget where you put the box. You can go online and buy spare parts if you need to. So with that installed, let's hook it back up, turn it back on, see what the driver situation is. And if we have to get drivers, we'll go to the Elgato page and download the drivers there. You want to do that regardless, even if it included drivers, because you don't know how old the drivers are that are included. It's best companies don't give you drivers anymore. They should force you to get your drivers when you need them, for that very reason, that you'll be getting the latest ones. And that way you don't have to troubleshoot old problems that new drivers fix. So let me find my power cable, and we'll plug this back in and turn it back on. Okay, we're back up and running. And again, we've got the Camlink Pro right there. And let's go to this machine. Gary Tatum said that sticker I showed you is a high-res sticker. Apparently we got some kind of an update there where we were turned on earlier. So, you know, because I've got updates installing in the background by default, you always want those updates when you're connecting to the internet, especially with a high-value target, which is any Windows computer. Regardless of whether or not you think you've got anything worth something, hackers don't care. They just want to know if it's easy to attack. So you keep those updates current and automatic, and you don't have to think about it. Just let it update itself. Don't worry about why. It's always in your benefit. Let me go full screen over here. Okay, now I can see it the way you guys do. I'll right-click on the Start button, and we're going to go to the Device Manager. And let's see what the state of things looks like in here. So we do have something called a multimedia controller that's appearing here that wasn't there before. So what I would do is just open up a browser and type in Elgato Camlink Pro drivers. Let's see what that pulls up. First link, elgato.com, Elgato hardware drivers, downloads. Okay. And Elgato makes a lot of stuff here. So what we're looking for, I don't care about their microphone. Products, capture cards, 4K Pro is what we have right here. That's the one we have. Now this is a different version. This one has got an input and an output. We have a 4-port 4K input. So let me just make sure that I didn't click on things too soon. 4KS, it says that's new. This is definitely not new. Camlink Pro. Is it Camlink Pro? I guess that's what we have. I guess it doesn't say 4K on it, does it? And then we're going to go to find the drivers. Yes, we know how it works. Thank you very little. Downloads. Oh, look, I can buy it directly from Elgato for the same price as B&H Photo. That's good to know. Sometimes with these capture cards, you have to download software, and the drivers are in the software. Even though you never have to run the software, it's very strange. You have to install it. Then once it's installed, the drivers go in. So that's what I'm thinking. Trying to remember how I used to do this. So we're not using a Stream Deck. There's Elgato Studio and the Control Center, the camera hub. See, I wouldn't use any of this. Even the capture utility, I would be using OBS for that. Even though it shows it's available for us, it's a little confusing. So I want to just look one more time to make sure that I'm just not seeing it. We're going to go back over to the capture cards, back over to the CamLink Pro, and see if there's an option for downloading any drivers. So this is all promotional stuff, right? This is all the marketing. So we have a quick start guide here that'll probably tell us which driver or which program we need. It's just this one page apparently, page 1 of 1. It doesn't really tell us anything. Let's see if I can make that bigger and read it. Elgato.com/download. Download what? Download the 4K capture utility to get started. So that's the one we want. I don't think these links work. No. Okay. Elgato.com/download is what they said, right? Let's just do it exactly what they're telling us to do. And we want the capture utility. 4K capture utility, that should be us right here, compatible with the CamLink Pro, that's us. I'll hit download. Continue with download right here without signing up for anything. It's a pretty small utility. Open it. Hit next. Next, next. Again, I don't change any of the default download areas because that can make supporting you and helping you very difficult when you're doing things differently than everybody else and it's not known what you did. So if you're going to do that, I hope you help yourself, or you're prepared to have to explain to people that your setup is different than what's normal, and that your answer may be, well, the reason you're having your problem is because you didn't follow what's normal. So that's why finding help from anybody else, if you choose to think that the regular settings aren't good enough for you, nobody else is going to know that. So hopefully you're going to be able to help yourself if you have a problem. So we try and keep everything as default as possible for support reasons. I'm going to close everything out here because I think we're done. A driver cannot load. Learn more or cancel. The security setting is preventing this driver. Is this what I'm seeing, or is there something else? Don't show this message again. Now let's just hit cancel on that. Oh, look at here. This actually did load. Let me close this out and reopen it again. Right-click Device Manager and see if we have any exclamation points in here. And then what is it under Storage Video Controllers? There's the CamLink Pro, but then we can often find, shouldn't be a display adapter. It'll be under, what do they call that? Storage, no. Monitors, no. Because monitors are output devices. This is an input device. I thought it was in here somewhere, but I'm not going to dig around. Basically, the way I can test it is if I just go to OBS Studio. And remember, this is not configured. This is just a straight out clean install. And I just want to test this capture card. I can add a new source by hitting the plus and say I want to add a video capture source. Right here, video capture device. Now, because this has 4 inputs, it will represent 4 video capture devices, 1 for each HDMI port. And we'll call it, you know, video capture device. We'll call it, I don't know, CamLink one, and then remember we've got 4 of them, so each one will get its own. And yeah, look at here, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then we pick which one we want, and then right there is the Elgato no signal because we don't have anything plugged into it. So that's all it was needed for the driver. I'm just confirming the driver's there. So instead of setting all these sources and scenes back up and then all the video files, this is where I will take my OBS Studio directory off of the red streamer and just move it here onto the new streamer, and everything will come back. The only difficult part will be if I have put all of my videos, you know, when I go to the yellow folder here, and if I go to the videos directory, that's under the name of the user. So if the username here on this computer is user and the username on the red streamer is anything else, it won't be able to find the files. So I've probably done that poorly. I should have put these more in a public folder versus a user folder, but it's really easy to correct that, and it only has to be done once, right? Every time we have to restore, it's going to restore back to the original username / folder. And if the usernames are different, then obviously it can't find those resources until you browse back to the current username folder, and then it'll remember it from that point forward on that new install. So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's all good. Everything's working like it should, and we have to close out of OBS in order to make this in order to copy the files. We can't copy the files while it's in use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to come back over here to the streamer right here. Now, since we're using OBS, like normally what I would do is the streaming computer will be on, OBS will not be running, and I will copy the OBS Studio folder onto the flash drive. But one of the first things I need to get regardless are the video, the introductions, and the assets. So let me go copy those first. So I'm going to put this flash drive here into any USB port on our current streamer. And then I'm going to come over here, open my videos folder on the streamer, which you guys won't be able to see, but basically I'm just telling you what I'm doing here. I go to my yellow folder, I go to my videos folder, and I just highlight everything, Control A, basically. And let's see, I don't need that. So basically I just want my intros, and I hit copy, and then I select that flash drive I plugged in, which is going to be, well, did it appear? It's not showing up. I didn't plug it in all the way. Let me check my cable. Or let me check my, not my cable, let me check my flash drive and make sure I've plugged it in all the way. It is not appearing. Huh. Why is it not appearing? Let me take a look at my disk management. Maybe that drive isn't formatted. See if the disk manager sees it. Oh, I think I'm having a drive letter conflict. Oh, let me right click and disconnect. I think when we were reviewing the other NAS from Minisforum the other day, I made it drive E, and now the flash drive wants to be drive E, and now they're fighting. They're not getting along. You'd think by now Microsoft would have resolved these kind of conflicts, and that's why whenever you see me add a network attached storage device map drive letter, I always go to the other end of the alphabet, so this won't happen. Silly me. So let me try. Let me go back into my device manager. No, not the device manager. The disk management utility is what I want. So I see the flash drive is there. It says it's healthy and happy, but it's just not letting me do anything with it because it's conflicting with the map drive letter that's that NAS is unplugged, so it can't find it. It's giving me a disconnect notice, and I'm trying to remove it, and it's not removing it. So what I need to do, it says the network connection does not exist. Let me see what happens if I unplug the flash drive one more time. This is what happens when I don't clean up after myself. I run into these kind of problems where I should have disconnected that at the end of the show. I forgot about it. Yeah. So even though I've unplugged this, it's still holding drive E. It's still reserving it, and it's not giving me drive letter F, unfortunately. And it's not letting me remove it. When I tell it to disconnect, it says the network connection does not exist. Wasn't expecting that. Let me just try one other thing here. Work around this. See if I can simply tell the disk management utility to change the drive letter on that USB flash drive. Change it to F. This is my bad, and this is why it's important to clean up after yourself, especially when you're doing a live show. Disk management, there's drive. Let's see, which disk number is that? Disk number 2, right click, change drive letter. Change it from E, let's assign letter F. Hey, I can see it now. What a shock. Okay. Thank you, Microsoft Windows, for keeping everything the same since 1995 and not recognize these conflicts. It's very strange. So now that I have drive letter F, I can right click and paste, and that's going to put all those video asset files off of the streamer right now as we're using the streamer onto that flash drive. And while I'm in OBS, I think, now so because I'm using OBS, it's in use right now, I cannot do anything with the profile. I can't back it up and restore it. So I have to exit out of OBS to do that. So I'm not going to worry about that just yet. I've got all my video assets copied over now, I think. Let me just verify one other thing here. If I go under my pictures, do I have any picture assets? No, I don't. So sometimes I keep the overlays separate from the videos, but I think I got smart and I put it all in one directory. So that way, for just this case of backing up or restoring, I'm not restoring multiple directories. There can be subdirectories, but one main directory has all my video assets. So let me go and take that flash drive off the streamer now and introduce it to the new streamer. We'll just plug it in right here. And then we'll come back over to this input right over here. Again, I need to go full screen over here. Right click, full screen. Okay. We'll go over here. And under the D drive, that's my flash drive. These are all of the folders I've copied over. We'll Control A to highlight all of them, and I can cut and paste them unless I want to keep it as a backup. And I always put it in the videos folder right here, which is under the username. That's why if I change usernames between computers, it won't find any of these folders, and I have to manually go through each one and point it to the new folder name. If I would have just done like C:/ or something that wasn't user specific, I wouldn't have this issue. But you can see that even with all the intros and all the assets I have, it's really not much data to move over. And when it comes to restoring OBS, again, it's a very simple thing to do. What I would do, or what I can do, is simply copy the OBS directory from my backup on the NAS. So for me to do that, though, I think I need to go to, I'm trying to think how I would do this. Normally, if I were doing this without making a video, I wouldn't have any of these hesitations because I wouldn't have OBS open at the time. So the best way to be able to use OBS and show how to back up OBS is you back it up before you start OBS. And then from there, use your backup, which I didn't. The last time I did that was about a week ago. I don't really want to restore from a week-old backup, but we certainly can. We've got everything we need off of that flash drive for right now. I'm going to plug the flash drive back into the streamer. And like I said, because OBS is in use, I can't copy all the files that I need from the directory that we're currently running OBS from. I'd have to go to the last backup that I have, which I should be able to do that right now. Let me just check. I think I was running a previous version of OBS. So my backup will actually revert me back, and I'll have to reinstall OBS again. This is kind of a messy way to do it, but it should work for me. Yeah, there's my last backup. Let me copy that, and I'll just paste it to the USB drive, which maintained the drive letter F, by the way, so no more conflict. So the OBS, the entire directory is like 250 megabytes. And that's just the program and all the configuration settings. That's all it is. You know, the video assets and stuff are all in a separate folder that we just copied over. So right now, I'm just taking it off of the network attached storage device, the OBS Studio folder, putting it on the flash drive. Then I'm going to put the flash drive back into this machine and just copy that OBS Studio folder on top of the one we already have. But unfortunately, there's been an update in a couple of days, like 4 days ago, 5 days ago, and I haven't backed it up in those 4 or 5 days, which means when I restore the entire directory, I'm going to be putting on the old version of program files. It doesn't affect my settings and preferences. So at that point, I can just reinstall OBS on top of itself a third time, since I'm not using a current backup. That's sort of the downside of doing it the way I do it. And it's too late right now for me to go into the profile backup because we're using OBS. And we have to stop OBS to do that, which means there'd be no way for me to show you. So now when I plug the flash drive in here, we should see an OBS Studio folder. So let me come back over to this computer here. And where's my mouse? Right click on this. And again, we don't need to save it. We can cut this. We don't have to copy it. Go back to the OBS Studio folder, which is in C, users. Username is user. App data, roaming, paste. It'll say, do you want to overwrite? It says it's moving these files. Replace the same files in the destination. Completely wipes it out. Okay, now we've got a conflict of 2 different versions. The version we installed is newer than the version we restored. And all we have to do is reinstall it one more time since we saved our download right here. I think we're running version 31.1.2. And the last backup I made was version 31.1.1. And I'm just doing this to be thorough. It may not even be necessary, but I want to put all those updated, whichever files were updated, back into that directory. But that will restore all of our scene settings, bit rates, audio levels, even the way it looks, the layout of OBS. So we're going to launch OBS now, and it should look exactly the way OBS looks on the main streamer right now. Let's find out live if this worked. So immediately we have it says these files are missing. And these are the banners that I will put up when I talk about SCD keys. And it shows they're located on Z drive. So Z is the NAS. And the way that we fix that is I just have to map the Z drive here. So I'll just go to, where is it, View? Can't remember how I do this. I go to this PC. I'm going to map my network drive, because I do this anyway, I just haven't done it yet. And where is it pointing to again? Just hover the mouse, it'll tell me one more time. Z/video/care. Okay, got it. let me just check to make sure that I put my Windows 11 net fixes on there. So let's close all this out. What I want to do, this module is blocked from loading. What's that all about? Oh, bonjour service? I don't care. That's for Apple. Okay, so I don't know why that came up. Was that an OBS? Hold on. Let me bring up OBS one more time and see that same error message. So there it's looking for those files. But you'll notice all of my other files are here. All my intros are here. You'll see my audio level is vertical instead of the default horizontal. This is all my custom layout and all my settings. That's what I want to see. So now I just need to map that drive, which I do on all my computers. And I'm just curious if I didn't put the network fix on here. Oh, it's on there. It works. Okay. So if I go to this PC, go to 3 dots, map and network drive, browse. There, we can see it now. I just needed to turn that discovery on. We're going to go to the NAS. Oh, well, maybe I'm still premature on that. Maybe I do need to put the fix on here. Let's try that one more time. If I go to the network, is it not letting me in there? It isn't. Okay, so I do need the fix still. I thought I put it on there. Let's restore my Windows 11 network fixes. This will be built into the Windows 11 optimizer, which will be out next year at this point. But basically, it's just these 2 commands. And it's just because the internet's gotten so nasty that Microsoft now has to protect you in ways it didn't have to worry about as the hackers get nastier and nastier. People go, why is it so difficult? Because of the bad guys. But why do you need keys to start your car and open your front door of your house? Because of the bad guys. Why do you need a burglar alarm? Well, if your neighborhood's changing, you know, it's not Microsoft's fault. It's not the security company's fault. So I'm going to just copy and paste 2 commands. We start with that one and verify it. And we go to the next one here. Copy that one and paste it in the PowerShell with administrator. No reboot is necessary. That fixes it permanently. So now I should be able to access the NAS. Let me go back to just try and map a network drive. So I want Z drive, browse, 1525. There it goes. Under NAS, then under Carey. Is it under Carey? Videos. Then Carey. There we go. Finish. That should open up the Carey folder. Lots of good boring stuff in there, guys. All right, and now we've got the Z drive. In theory, that's what OBS was looking for. So when I start it now, it should, well, we're still not finding it. What am I missing? I might have dug in too deep. So if that's the case, maybe all it wants me to do is not be that specific on this. So if I right click and disconnect this drive, let's try it one more time. And let's go map. It'll be Z again, browse again. Trying to remember how I mapped this. And then we'll go under NAS. Maybe just that's all I did. Then hit finish. That looks better. And then let's open up OBS. See if it's happy now. It is happy. And I can test that. Does it pull the SCD keys? It does. Beautiful. Now the other issue may be like camera 1. We might have to go to properties and change this. We might have 2 of them in here now. See how there's an HDMI 1 here and an HDMI 1 here? That's because these are 2 different capture cards, even though they have the same names. what I want to see is I want it to say Elgato on it. If it says Elgato, I've got the right one. If it remains black, then that means I don't have it configured right. Do any of these work? Okay, that one says Elgato. All four of them should independently say that. Turn it off. Perfect. So just a little bit of turning it off and back on again seems to have fixed it. And then I will go through each one of these, make sure camera 2 points to input number 2. I mean, this one's pointing to number 4. So I need to verify that those are all correct. And I do this to keep myself sane. HDMI 3, it's called HDMI 3 because it should be the third port, which for some reason is now on 2. But this is what happens when you change the capture card and then you restore settings back to the old capture card. The hardware isn't the same. It's registered by the computer differently, even though it's the exact same card. The way the system loads the drivers and identifies it has to do with the product serial number. So it will change slightly. But in theory right now, we should be able to switch over to this computer. Like if I bring up this intro, does that work? Yeah, all that works just like it should. And what about my microphone? Camera audio should be coming off of camera number 1. It says default. I don't want default. I want Pro Audio number 1, I think is the way I set it up before. Anything that deals with the capture card, you need to reassign, but any of your video assets or window capture, things like this, if we choose window capture, this is probably pointing to Chrome, and we don't have Chrome installed on here yet. So now it's going to default to Edge. And it's not showing anything because we don't open Edge. So if we open Edge, we should see, yeah, that's working now. Super easy. Like this stuff is so easy. And then once we have it set up, we're good to go. So right now, if I come back over here to camera 1, here's where things are going to get a little tricky. In order for me to continue this live broadcast without interruption, I can only be streaming live from one computer or the other. I cannot do both at the same time. That means that for me to disconnect this other streamer, we have to shut down the streamer without shutting down the stream, and then pick the exact same stream key back up on this one and continue the stream. It's a little messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug camera 1 from the back of the capture card. And then the other thing I need to do, I have to sign into YouTube, obviously. So I need to do that over here on this machine. Once I'm signed in to YouTube, then I can have access to my stream key and such, giving OBS permission, and pick the stream right back up. The downside of this is I can't show you any of that. That's what sucks, is I can only take this video so far, and as I'm saying it out loud, I'm realizing that if I were to shut the cameras off but leave the stream running, you're going to get no audio and no video until I do all of that and come back on this machine. And those skeptical might say, well, how do we know you're really on that machine? Just because you show a cable plugged into it, how do we know? Because you won't be able to tell. So if that's the case, why bother showing it at all? That's the process that I've described. And normally, no one would be insane enough to try and do this live, because you're sort of walking a tightrope that everything's going to go well. And there can be little hiccups, you know, file locations, signing into the Z drive, throwing Google Chrome on this, you know, that's not a big deal. We can do that right now. That's got to be done anyway. But overall, you know, when people sit there and they go, oh, I don't want to have to reinstall all my programs, it's usually them whining about it is about 75 times longer of a process than actually doing it. And then when they do it, they go, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, which is why you should have just done it. But a lot of people refuse. They say, oh, I don't want to reinstall all my programs. I don't want to go through all that. And yet, the amount of time they spend with anxiety about this issue, it's like a child that's crying over getting a shot, right? Getting an injection. And the child's like freaking out and then they give the child the injection while the child is freaking out, and they tell the child, we're already done. The child's like, what? You already got your injection. When? Well, you were screaming and crying. We did it. You didn't even realize it. All that screaming and crying was for nothing. See, it didn't even hurt. You didn't even know it happened. It's what adults are doing when they say, I don't want to have to reinstall everything. Reinstalling everything is not a big deal, not compared to the whining and crying they do over the thought of doing it. And when you actually do it, you'll find out it really wasn't that big of a deal, and it didn't take that much time, and nobody ever regrets doing it. Never have I had a customer say, I am so sorry I ever did that. Never, not once. It's always worth it, and it's never as big of a deal as people make it out to be. But that's human nature, and that's what I deal with as a tech, is I just tell people to leave the room. If you can't see your child get a shot or an injection without you freaking out, leave the room. We'll do it without you. Because we have other patients to see, we have other work to do, and we don't have time for that. It's not a big deal. I guess I can get rid of this again, and let's put Chrome on here. Just type in Chrome. Google Chrome. Download. And then open. Yes. I'm going to say don't sign in, skip. Got it. Close. Okay. So this should be like the minimal setup for an OBS streamer. At this point, little things like Chrome, I just forgot about. I take it for granted because it's what I always use, you know, so I forget, oh yeah, I have to put that on. No big deal. Oh, I got to sign into YouTube, and then it's got multi-factor authentication. Big deal. After that, this thing is essentially ready to be the streamer. What's going to hold us back is the cable management, which I'm not even going to make an attempt to do until I get the missing cable from Thermaltake, or the right cable, so I can hook up the screen. Once I've got all the cables hooked up and everything's working, verified to be working, the very last thing prior to putting the panels back on is running some cable management. And I don't do that necessarily for looks. Like this case has no clear panel on it. The reason I'm doing it is to make it easier to work on. When there gets to be an upgrade, a repair, or something changes, I don't want to struggle through all this mess to figure out where I need to go to find the end of a cable. It makes diagnostics so much faster. And you know, if I have to remove any parts, it's just so much easier than untangling a bunch of cables, trying to do something very, very quickly, but making it take much longer because of the mess and the tangles I've got to work through. So that's why I do it, and that's why I will do it to this machine, and that's why I'm not doing it yet, because I don't know how that cable's going to route until I have it, and to make sure the screen works and the Thermaltake software is installed. But as far as like OBS is concerned, once I sign myself into YouTube, as it sits right now unfinished, it's good enough. And when I stream from this, you won't see any difference. It'll stream exactly the same way as the bigger box. This is a third of the size, and it's actually quite a bit more powerful, even though we don't need any of that power other than video editing, which I normally do on the laptop upstairs anyway, but it's nice to know I've got it if I want it. And then once the panels are back on, it'll be easier to forget what a pain in the ass this is to work on and how poorly it's designed. It becomes like a hot dog build. And I'm willing to accept that because, quite frankly, I do like the looks of the case. But I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. At least, and I would have to make it very clear to you, you understand, this is not a very well-designed case, and the parts made by the company designed to go in here don't fit very well. If you're okay with that, because you're like, well, overall, I think it's worth it, go for it. But for this much money, I expected it to go together a lot easier and to not have to contact support for any reason, let alone have to do a little dance with them to get a cable that should have been included the whole time. It's their screw up. It's not my screw up. And they could have made that process a lot smoother, more apologetic, and more appreciative to me. Because they chose not to do that, I'm going to choose to spend my money in the future for other case manufacturers, other cooler manufacturers, other screen manufacturers, because I don't get treated that way by anybody else. They stand alone being that low of support and that slow. Why would I pay money for that? Why would you? But because we made the investment, we've done all the work, and I do like the look of the case. Once the covers are on, I can forget about this, at least until I have to work on it, which shouldn't be for a long time. So let me see if you have any questions for me, and then that'll wrap it up for today. That puts us right at about the 2-hour mark, which is about perfect. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, I'm certainly happy to take them now. And a reminder, if you want to reach out to us, our email address, I'm going to put that back up on the screen right here. That's if you want to reach out. I want to thank our friends at SCD Keys. These are the folks where I get my Windows and Office licenses, and this is the price I pay for them. As a business, showing you the source of where I get this stuff, find another computer repair business that'll do that. They'll sell you a marked up. Like they could go and buy it and then sell it to you, and then they'll make a few bucks on the sale. I am giving you insider information that it's a real, legit product key from a company that will give you support for 6 months after the purchase and pay the same price I pay if you use my coupon code. So just as a reminder, I use my own coupon code. That's how I get that price. The only difference is that they're allowing us to share that coupon code with all of you. I don't make a commission on it. So I hope you take advantage of buying a legitimate license key from a company that offers peace of mind that you're not risking anything, you're not gambling, and you're using the coupon code to make sure you're paying the same price somebody in the industry pays. So for whatever that's worth, all the links for different versions of Office and Windows are in the video description below this video. And they're the same links I use, they're the same products I buy. I use my own coupon code and I pay the same price you're gonna see. I don't know how much more generous I can be and how much more transparent and honest I can be in that regard. Good luck finding that anywhere else. With that, let me just take a quick look here in the chat. Our friend Buster saying good night. Hey Buster, thanks for hanging out with us as always. We will have our members only video tomorrow at 1 o'clock. As always, we look forward to seeing the members tomorrow. Those are members only videos. It's a benefit of membership. I think I've got a couple computers to give away tomorrow too. So that's just another thing we do for members only now. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. If I don't, please remind me. Andy says, I wonder if the cable is on a slow boat from China. Well, you know, if they're setting it USPS, it may be a slow boat from Missouri. Not exactly the fastest shipping service in America or the most reliable. I don't know. I don't care. All I can tell you is the ball is in their court now, and I just have to sit and wait. It shows up when it shows up. If a couple of weeks go by and nothing, then I'll follow up. But I'll give them 2 weeks. Dazzle555 says Windows security. You just picking random words to shout at me? Purple hose. I'm sorry, I'm only going to catch what I see in the chat. So if you're continuing something you said prior, I need you to put it all in context for me. I'm not playing Tetris with your comments, trying to fit them together. I'm happy to address them, but you must be shouting more than what appears to be random words. And I'm happy to, I'm sure that it's attached to something, but I have no idea. So try again, please. Doman 2000 says, sometimes there's more complex client settings which can take a long time to get right. Not in my experience, there isn't. No. If I have a client that has complex settings, we back the settings up. It's really super easy. If there's no way to back the settings up, then we just take the old computer image and we keep that in either on the old computer that we can refer back to and just click menu item by menu item. It usually doesn't take more than 4 or 5 minutes tops to go through every single menu item to compare side by side. And you shouldn't have had to do that since the 90s. Like these days, there's almost always a backup and restore feature for every setting on every program made within the last 20 years. So I can't agree with you on that at all. But you do you. I can only tell you from my experience in the industry that the last time I had a client where I had to go menu by menu line was at least 20 years ago. So that's just my experience. The setups are usually super easy. This is the anxiety I'm talking about. Maybe you've got PTSD from doing it 20 years ago, but today you shouldn't have to do it that way anymore. So if you have a recent example that you'd like to provide to me to, you know, provide where this information you're getting is coming from, I can't relate to that. Andy said he had a very good experience with USPS. Great. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has. You're the one. Andy says, thank you. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Andy. Thanks to all of our members for making these videos possible. Just kind of scrolling back here to see if I've missed any other questions or comments. Rick Dust says he's still on Windows 10. Yeah, there's no reason not to be. I mean, if you're on Windows 10 and you're happy with it, you can extend your updates through October of 2026. There's no hurry, nothing wrong. If you want to do that, it's your choice. Gary mentions I could save all these files on a NAS folder. Oh, I could, and I've thought about it. I probably should. You know, I've got a couple of the assets on the NAS, and I shouldn't separate them. I should pick one or the other. I think I was worried about the delay, the network delay, but these video files are small. Geez, our NAS these days is 10 gig networking, so yeah, it would. But here's the other thing. I don't move the streaming computer very often. Since we started this channel in 2008, we didn't have a streaming computer. I just had a video editing machine. So everything would be recorded onto the camera. The memory card would be taken out, put in the computer, and edited, and a video editing software rendered out and uploaded to YouTube. So no content you got was ever fresh in that sense. We started streaming around 2017. And I think I had an AMD 2600X or something, and then we upgraded it to like a 2800, 2900. Eventually we did the Threadripper build, and then the Threadripper became the new streamer. It still remains the streamer over at Studio A to this very day. We did have to replace the Threadripper CPU because it was not Windows 11 compatible. Any of the first gen Ryzen CPUs, including Threadripper, they're not compatible with Windows 11. But you know, it's a first gen product. That's what you get if you want to be a pioneer and you want to be first. So we just made sure we got a Threadripper that starts with the number 2 or higher. Found one used on eBay. We swapped it out. We covered all this in a video, and then we put Windows 11 on it. So with that one exception, I still have the CPU here, the old Threadripper. I can't use it anymore. It's useless to me. But, you know, it'll still run Windows 10 fine, but I want everything on 11. Then we had a little tiny portable computer similar to this. That was the Encase M1 that we used at Studio B because I wasn't quite sure how long we'd be there. And as we settled in, I went ahead and built the red and black streamer we're using now. And now I feel like it's pretty big. We're running out of space to go back to a smaller unit, but at the same time upgrade it, make it more powerful since we can, and nothing else was pressing for content. Let's do it.
I didn't expect it to take this long, and it started with a completely different case. But we got here. We're almost done. And thankfully, there wasn't a paying customer waiting for it, because this would be an embarrassing situation to be in. That's why I prefer to sell things I actually have. If I tell a customer I need to order them something, and I expect it should take a certain amount of time, and that doesn't happen, customer's mad at me. I have no control over stuff like this. It is what it is. So thankfully, that's all avoided. Once it's built, then I can sell it, you know, if that's an option, and say, here you go. You don't have to wait for anything. You can have it right now. That makes the customer happier. It makes my life a lot less stressful. When customers were ordering parts and having me build, it's why I don't do that anymore. It got to be really, really bad. Customers were fickle and changing their mind over what they wanted. Customers were changing parts without telling me, so the build wouldn't go together, and I didn't know why. And then customers were putting me in a position where they claimed they didn't have any money for me to finish the build with the right parts, so I had to pay for it myself in order to get it done, and then they were complaining it was taking too long. So from now on, it's what I have, that's what's available. And for customers I know well, or customers who are willing to sign a waiver to say, look, I understand that if we have to order parts, it's out of your control. You'll do what you can as soon as you can, and we won't hold that against you. That's not a waiver I really want to offer anybody, but if they're that desperate and they really want me to do it, and they're willing to agree to that, I've never had to do that in the lifespan of my business. But that's where we're at today with stuff. Stuff sells out really quickly. Inventories are very, very low on everything. So what's available today may not be available tomorrow, but might become available again the day after, or a week after, or two. It's really hard to know. And the tariffs have made things a little bit confusing for companies as well. And so that can affect what price you pay depending on what day you buy it. So for that reason, I'm in the situation I'm in. And everything I've got, I know I have. There's no additional fees attached to it. And people can have it right away. So it just makes sense. Why do it any other way? That's far less work. It's far less stress. Everybody's going to be happier. Nobody says I did it too fast. Nobody says it's going to happen too soon. Just again, I'm looking through the chat for any final questions or comments. Lana Dro said, would love to have that small case in blue. Yeah, they do make some very unique color options from Thermaltake. I'll give them that. They're very unique in that way. They'll give you more color options than pretty much any other case maker. So, you know, it's not that everything they do is bad, but some of the key components that are supposed to fit together like a glove don't fit together well. And then their support could be a lot nicer, a lot faster, and a lot more cordial. Mark Gaines said I missed a few super chats. Oh, well, that makes sense. I had the screen, full screen on the desktop here, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. Dean Leave became a new member. Right on. Well, welcome into our new friend, Dean. Thank you for supporting us here. Mark Gaines with a 10-pound super chat said, I was supposed to be celebrating my birthday today, but my back had other ideas. I just got home from AE 20 minutes ago. I don't know what AE is, but maybe is that a chiropractor or a hospital? I hope you get to feeling better. I'm sorry your birthday isn't the happiest day, but you can always celebrate your birthday tomorrow too, or Tuesday. Happy birthday to our friend Mark Gaines out there in Northern Ireland. Mark Baggett and Abdul Azim Patel just renewed their membership, with Abdul at 32 months now and Mark Baggett at 38 months. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Gregory Howard, as I mentioned earlier, with the $10 super chat. And Jonathan Fellis, who just became a member today. So Jonathan and Dean, welcome into our latest members. Welcome into our latest members. And yes, please know that on Mondays at 1 o'clock, we do videos only for members. Only members can watch these videos. Only members can interact with me in these videos. The public is never able to watch these videos ever, unless they decide to become a supporter. You can also reach into our archive going back all the way back to 2009. Once the videos are 12 months old, the public videos, they get put into the archive. And the reason we do this is we get a lot of confusion from viewers who are watching videos that are years and years old, and they have questions about, where did you get this part? Well, I bought it 6 years ago. Or they want to know, how do I do this thing in Windows 7 you showed? Okay, that's no longer relevant anymore. So the videos start causing people harm, and they don't realize they're watching old content. So what we've done is we take any video that's 12 months or older, we move it into an archive so that the general public doesn't confuse themselves with it. And then those who know enough to understand what they're watching, those hopefully become, these people appreciate that content and they're members, and then go back and watch those older videos. And this prevents a lot of comments of confusion from the general public. It's really unfortunate that we deal with some portion of the general public that doesn't understand what they're watching, and they'll look at a particular fix for something and they'll try to fix something else and then ask why it's not working. I mean, the title of the video says it fixes something specific. You say you're trying to fix something completely different. Why do you think that that would work? So, or other times it tells you how to fix something when they want to know, how do I even set this up? Well, that's tutoring. We do have some tutoring videos, but that's not repairing. That's just teaching you how to configure things. This is the general public, by the way. On the other hand, if a member were to ask us these questions, someone who makes it possible for us to make these videos, they're going to get a much more customized answer, right? Because we want to make sure that that our members who are giving us their hard-earned money so we can continue to do this, that we give them the kind of support that you would give to anybody you're paying your money to, right? Just as I'm complaining about Thermaltake. Now, if Thermaltake, if we're giving this all away for free, it'd be hard-pressed for me to complain about it. I still would. But when you add money into it, then suddenly it becomes really important, at least from my perspective. I want to make sure that those people want to keep coming back, right? The free viewers, well, we appreciate them. If they're not contributing to the videos, they're not really helping. So if what they're doing is adding to the burden with support questions and confusion, keeping those older videos up actually costs us money. So for that reason, that's part of a members only benefit. The exclusive videos on Mondays, the archive, and any customized tech support you need. If you're a member, you have direct access to us. We're happy to tutor you if need be. That's okay, because we're getting something back in return. It's a fair deal. We're happy. We are happy to do it. And then from the general public who wants everything and wants to give nothing, they get more of what they give. They get what they give. So I want you to understand why this has become necessary. Unfortunately, advertising is just pretty much wiped out. If you look at even television shows, Resident Alien has been canceled because they cannot get the advertising revenue to pay for that show. And unfortunately, it's a great show. It's got great ratings, except instead of people watching TV now, they scroll through their phone. So all the advertiser revenue is worth less, and they cannot make enough money in advertising revenue to cover the cost of making the show. So the show goes bye-bye. We don't want to go bye-bye. And it's because of our members we're still here. All right, so we want to see that grow, and we hope more people will become members, and we can go the opposite direction and grow and get bigger. But right now we're maintaining, and thankfully, with the help of our members, we're able to buy everything you see here. Thermaltake didn't send us a thing. We bought this cooler, we bought this case, we bought that motherboard, we bought that chip. The only thing that was contributed was from Orico, who sent us this drive. And I thought, what a great way to test this drive is I'll put it in the most important machine I have in Studio C. If this thing dies or fails on me, I'm going to be pissed. On the other hand, if it works great and even better than the ones I buy, this is going to be a new favorite that I'm going to be recommending because I'll be relying on it. Every single time I stream, it's coming from this Orico drive, just so you know. What a great test, right? I can put it on benchmarks all day, but how is it to live with day to day to day when you count on it and you rely on it? Weeks become months, months become years. We're going to find out the old-fashioned way. Just use it the way somebody would if they bought it who isn't a content creator. Rocket science. Thank you, of course, to Mara, our channel administrator. She's working tirelessly in the background to make our thumbnails, put together our video descriptions. She handles all the incoming emails from people that want us to review robot vacuums. File recovery software, which is a joke. You know, these companies that want to sell you file recovery software is just ridiculous. Make backups. Just make backups, man. Anyway, let me just look one more time for any final comments. Frank Jimmy says, tomorrow I will be installing a Minisforum UM790 Pro at one client, and then at another client I'm installing a TP-Link Deco XE75 tri-band Wi-Fi 6E mesh system, just like the one I have. I think you got good solid hardware there. Barry says, so tomorrow when the stream suddenly cuts out, we'll know the drive failed. Something like that. You know, we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I will absolutely finish this up. I'm going to leave it all exposed, but I'll finish up the login to YouTube and the I think that's all I have to do is log into YouTube, go through the multi-factor authentication process, and at that point I will start streaming from this machine here starting tomorrow. I've done this now, what is this, the 7th time. I think I've got the whole process nailed down. Keyword is I think I do. We'll find out. Members will find out tomorrow. I honestly don't think you're going to notice anything any different. I hope I'm not wrong. Easy PC says, what are the net fixes I referenced? Just Google that. Just type in CareyHolzman space network fixes. I mean, if you make a modicum of effort to just look before you ask, you'll probably find your answer there. I have probably 2,000 different, well, I don't know, 2,000, at least 200 different specific fixes. And I can't just keep repeating them over and over again. They're there in the YouTube library for you so that I don't have to keep repeating it. So I really appreciate when people make the attempt first. And if you fail on that attempt and you need a little help, we're happy to help you. But please try first. One of the main attractions to making YouTube videos is I don't have to keep repeating. You just go back and watch the video you missed. If you're looking for a specific video, use that in your search term with my name. And if you're having difficulty finding it, let us know. Want to teach a man to fish. Not being mean. Want to teach you how to fish so you can feed yourself. And if you need some help when you've tried and haven't been successful, we'll be happy to assist you for sure. And reach out to our email address. Andy says he's got a couple of Orico drives and so far no failures. Yeah, we've got 2 here in use in some of these machines. I don't know where they are. Our friend Mitch bought a 4 terabyte Orico for one of his machines. He's got no problems with it. If I thought it was likely going to be a problem, I wouldn't even entertain this idea. I wouldn't even talk about it. Right? If somebody reached out to me with some questionable thing, I'm probably going to say no if I think it's going to be bad. If I'm not sure if it'll be bad or good, then I will preface that in the video. I'll say, guys, we're going to try something here. We're going to be a guinea pig. Could be good, could be bad. We don't know yet. But mostly, if I think it's going to be bad, I won't even bother to entertain it to begin with. I just can't get over how fast this Orico drive and how cheap it is. If we go over to Amazon again, just to show you, let me grab my screen capture. Back up to Amazon, we'll look for Orico. They call this one the IG740, and they make it in various sizes. And they say it's an industrial solid state drive. This is exactly what we're seeing too. $120 for 2 terabytes. And here's the thing, they have a 4 terabyte for less than double, right? So your 2 terabyte drives would cost you $139.98. One 4 terabyte drive, only $236. That's the way it should be, but that's often not how manufacturers market it. And this is one that you put the heatsink on yourself if you want it. I didn't want it because we have a better heatsink on the motherboard, but they do have it with the heatsink already on it, and it's a little bit more money, not by much. $236 versus, oh, it is quite a bit more. It's $289. So in any event, you'll see the 2 terabyte version with the heatsink is a little bit more money. Without the heatsink, $119. If you want this to be in PS5, let's say, then it's got a heatsink specifically designed to fit within a PS5. It's a little bit different, the height of it. And so yeah, I look at this model. This is what they sent us to review, and there's a 10% off coupon code that'll take about $12 off of this, making it $108. I mean, it's a bargain all day long. As long as it's as reliable as every other one, which I expect it will be, I'm very happy with it. I don't read too much into any negative reviews unless there's more negative reviews than positive ones. I always expect to see a couple of people that don't understand the technology or don't use it correctly, or they've plugged it into the wrong slot. They don't understand what they're buying. It's not like you have to prove to Amazon you know what you're doing when you purchase a product. So I think a lot of these 1-star reviews are from people that are clueless. Oh, and I can't even see it. They're either clueless, or maybe the product was damaged in shipping, or they just don't have it configured right. They don't know how to use it. Yeah, I can't see these individuals. You can see a lot of people have reviewed it, and the vast majority are giving it 5 stars. Just saying. When you pull up these numbers and you're seeing lower numbers, something's not configured correctly. Oh, well, theirs is the 4 terabyte. The 4 terabyte oddly does run a little slower. Glad I saw that. If you come up here and you look at the ratings on this, it says that the 2 terabyte drive should give us some numbers here somewhere. Actually, I think it's in the title. Yeah, 7450, right? Which is pretty much what we saw. But when you jump to the 4 terabyte, that number drops down a little bit. Not by much. And if you go to the 1 terabyte, that number is even further down. But again, this is milliseconds. Most humans couldn't tell the difference. Between 7100, heck, even between 4000 and 7000, or 8000, or 10,000, most human beings cannot tell outside of benchmarks. You can't feel that. You'd have to have a very specific use case scenario, quite unique and niche, for you to be able to identify that that feels faster or slower at this speeds. You just keep reaching a point of diminishing returns, which is what I started talking about in the beginning of the show, where you're looking at bigger benchmark numbers, but you're not necessarily noticing it other than the placebo in your head. So buy accordingly and set your expectations realistically, and I think you'll be a happy camper. And of course, if anything's not working the way you expect it to, and you want to know, if there's something you're missing, reach out to us. We're always happy to hear from you guys. All right, and with that, again, a thank you to SCD Keys. A thanks to, shout out to Orico for sending us. I got to get around to erasing this Beijing drive. Beijing's, I've used about 3 dozen of these, but this may become my new favorite because they're even cheaper. faster, and the same warranty. And yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for us for today. Thank you for everybody who's contributed. Thank you for your memberships. Thank you to our friend Buster for the Amazon gift card just prior to the show. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything else that might have come in. No, I think I got everything. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I hope you feel better, Mark Gaines. And we'll look forward to seeing members tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Until then, bye for now.